Ladies and gentlemen, thugs and hoolums, I am the comic outlaw, and we're doing something different in our top 10. We're giving props to Joe Pesci. Yes, we're going over Joe Pesci, the actor, and his movies, whether they're funny, whether they're dramatic, and we're basically going over my pick of the many faces of Joe Pesci. We're going over his career and which ones make my personal top 10. There will be a few honorable mentions, and this is just fun. And I've always loved this actor. I thought he had a fair career with popular movies and some of the unpopular movies, that he's done over the years. And I just want to give big props to Joe Pesci. And this is the Comic Outlaws Top 10. And I guarantee you, it will be a surprise when you find out which one is number one with a bullet. Should I tell you right now? Should I spoil the surprise? Nah, because that's not the way I work. You gotta get your pay right for the Comic Outlaw to find out which Joe Pesci movie is number one. Stay tuned. I am the Comic Outlaw, and I just got back from a special little world where you gotta be a member of a certain organization, if you know what I'm saying. Big shout out to one of the groups that run one of the multi-first districts that I sort of belong to, the Owls. So I was at the club chilling, and we were talking about different actors. And as you saw the intro, we're going to be talking about one of my favorites, back in the day actor, Joe Pesci. Yes, sir. Now, Joe Pesci, in case you guys didn't know, had a big career back in the day. He did a lot of Scorsese movies. He also did a lot of other stuff too. He actually got to start with Scorsese. He also helped Frankie Valli meet the Four Seasons. And if you do not know who Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons are, I suggest you look them up. I might be doing a mixtape madness on them one time or another. But yeah, I just came back, so I'm looking clean, looking sharp, and looking as lean as only I can. That one and only crime machine, Comic Outlaw. But anyways, we got to talking, and I decided to drop my top 10 Joe Pesci movies. And of course, these are just based on what I think over the years, the movies that I've watched over and over again, because he's made a lot of good movies, but some of them, I've just watched more than others. So I had me a little Joe Pesci marathon, and I put together a top 10 list. There'll be a few honorable mentions, and let's get started. Now, number 10, I put Gone Fishing with Danny Glover and him, and it's kind of a departure for what they were doing with another one that's on this list, the Lethal Weapon movies. It's more comedy, slapstick, they're basically two bumbling guys that just want to fish, and they get wrapped up in a bunch of shenanigans, as shenanigans tend to happen in movies. So I actually recommend it. Some people think it's kind of like asinine, like silly funny, but hey, it's just nice to just kick back and just have a good laugh at something. I mean, and plus it's just Joe Pesci and Danny Glover having fun, palling around. All kinds of awesome, right? Now, this other one, I actually watched when I was younger, and I thought it was so cool, the concept. It's called Jimmy Hollywood, where he plays a man trying to become an actor. And he goes out for all these parts, he doesn't get anything, and he sort of bumbles into kind of stopping a guy on camera. And they make up this whole vigilante thing that kind of gets credit for other things, and it starts to get noticed by the cops. And it's kind of a good movie, how it's good how it's something very different. The character he plays is very different, and just where the movie takes you, I don't want to give away the ending, but it's just an awesome ending, and it just kind of gives a wink. It's a little bit of satire in Hollywood, and the idea of how something small could just catch fire. Really cool. I recommend it. Christian Slater gives a great performance in it too. I'll probably be doing a top 10 Christian Slater soon too. Now let's see. Now, I picked number 8 for a reason. 8 heads in the duffel bag. Yeah, I like that. Now, he plays a mobster, of course. I think his name's Tommy or something like that. Anyways, he plays a hitman. He's on his last hoorah before he retires. And he's working for his boss's son now. And his boss's son is, well, let's just say he's not too good of a guy. Doesn't really respect the code. So he's trying to just do his job, and his job is to kill these guys, take their heads, and deliver them to him. He wants their heads. He has to have their heads. It's just one of the things that he, needs, I guess. He just wants. So he's riding in like Zorro, and he ended up losing the heads because this couple accidentally takes the bag, and he has to go after them, and he kind of forms a, I wouldn't say a friendship with his two roommates, but they kind of become his sidekicks. His four sidekicks. As he's looking for the man and woman with the 8 heads, and it's a great movie. It's funny. Joe Pesci's is great, playing a pissed off mobster, and this has more of a comedy edge to it, unlike the other mobster movies he made. So it's really cool. It's worth a watch. Now let's see. Number 7 is Home Alone. Now I know I'm going to catch some flack for this because everyone will probably think it's higher on their list, but hey, I loved it when I was a kid. It's okay now. It's good for a few laughs, but they overdid the series with the other movies without any of the original actors. So, Joe Pesci plays a bumbling thief, a member of the Sticky or the Wet Bandits, and then they become the Sticky Bandits in part 2. And he's just great at falling over. They have a lot of personality in this. They end up stealing the show, the scenes that they're in. It's just really worth watching. Daniel Stern plays the other guy, and then it's just Abbott and Costello, and just bumbling thieves, and they play so well off of Macaulay Culkin. It's just classic fun. And they both came out on Christmas, so if you're in the mood for a Christmas movie with a lot of broken glass, blow torches, BB guns, and bricks just coming out of nowhere and smacking someone in the face, good movie. Really warms the holiday heart. Now, number 6 is Lethal Weapon. Yes, I know, and I'm including all of them. His performance in all of them is Leo gets, so I'm not going to just pick one movie. I liked his overall performance. It's lower on the list because he came out in part 2, and he's a great part of the movie, but I think it's the ensemble that kind of holds the movie together. He's a part of a greater whole. That's why he's a little lower. This one's a little lower on the list, but it's great. His performances are awesome. He bounces really well off of Mel Gibson and Glover, so Danny Glover, so it's really worth watching. Part 1's good, and then the other ones are just really good. It goes all the way up to part 4, and if you've seen this television series, I highly recommend the movies. So, and just remember, what you want, Leo gets. And number 5 is Casino. It's one of the classic Joe Pesci movies where he was a gangster. Now I had to choose between Goodfellas and Casino, and I put Casino lower on the list because, well, I do love his performance, don't get me wrong, but De Niro, it was more like De Niro kind of was a forward on this, and Joe Pesci was sort of the secondary, but the overall story is good, a little long, and he just plays such a bastard in the movie. It's so hard, because I really just want people to watch these movies because it's been a long time since some people have heard of this actor, and Scorsese just makes gold. Aviator, Raging Bull, The Departed, great movies, and his character is really cool. It's based on true events in the life of Ace Rothstein, and he kind of plays the mobster that comes along with him, and awesome. He plays such a bastard. And another thing about it is the setting, classic Vegas, Rat Pack look, suit and style, back when being a gangster actually meant something. But at any rate, I digress. Our next movie is The Super. Now, this movie I just absolutely love. I loved it as a kid, and I love it now. The Super, he plays kind of a sleazy, he's a sleazy landlord. His dad was a slumlord too, and he gives him his first building. It's basically just a rundown piece of crap. And he goes up and down, collecting rent until he gets busted, and they force him to live in one of the rooms in the building and then he has 90 days to get up to code. Otherwise, he goes to jail. So, it's a whole story of how this man evolves from kind of a scum-sucking bastard into a decent, greedy bastard. Sorry. I mean, it does warm the heart. There are some real good moments in it. And it just has a fair amount of F words, which is always nice. And like I said, I watch it a lot, so that's why it's number 3. Now we're going to go to number 2. Well, wait, no, that was number 4. We're going to go to number 3. Goodfellas. Man, I watched this movie so many times, I can actually sit here and go, like, word for word, quote this movie. Ray Liotta, of course, De Niro, and of course Joe Pesci. And Joe Pesci's character is just, in every scene, he just plays a crazy bastard. He is just dialed to 11 the whole time. Straight killer. Classic mobster. Like, and he just plays a tough guy so well. Like, you believe that he's going to kill your ass. The movie is great, and like I said, out of the two, I like this story a little bit more than Casino. I've always come back to watching it. It's a great movie, classic Scorsese. If you want a good gangster movie with one hell of a good story, watch that movie. Now, we're going to hit number 2. This time, for a fact, it's number 2. Alright. This one is My Cousin Vinny. And anyone that wants to see a good lawyer movie with a Karate Kid in it, not the Kung Fu Kid, but Ralph Macchio. Yes, check it out. Cobra Kai. But anyways, Ralph Macchio plays a college kid. He's going with his friend. They get caught. They get a mistaken identity. They kind of go to jail for murder. They think they stole a can of tuna, so they're in the South. They have no one else to call but his cousin Vinny, who happens to be a lawyer, but has never actually had to try a case. He's always settled out of court. He's an ambulance chaser. So he comes down and tries to save these Utes. And yes, I said Utes. Wonderful performance by Melissa Tomei. Movie's just all kinds of gold from beginning to end. It's just a great movie. It tells a great story. The court scenes are very well done, and the way the actors play off each other is just awesome. It's cool to see Joe Pesci in other roles. And later on, when he retired, he actually went back to this character and made a song called Cousin Vinny from one of the albums. Yes, he's made albums. He sang too. He's done it all. What can I say? Great movie, and yeah, that's My Cousin Vinny. To call if you get into trouble. Vincent Gambino. But anyways, we're going to go with number 1 now. Number 1, I don't know how many people have seen this movie. It's kind of an underground one, I guess. It's called With Honors. Now, this has Brandon Fraser, Patrick Dempsey, and Joe Pesci. And basically, Brandon Fraser's a college student at Harvard. And he's kind of a dick. Full on. It's, for the rich, the poor, just scum, just straight college boy, typical, like, rich boy, I can fix everything with money type attitude. Well, he ends up bumping into Joe Pesci's character, Simon, which is a homeless character, but he's extremely brilliant. And they end up forming a friendship because he takes his final paper that he needs to pass everything and to graduate with honors. And he sort of kidnaps it to give him lodging and food, and he begins trading papers off for it, and they begin to form a friendship. and it's just one of the best stories I've ever seen. A lot of the speeches by Joe Pesci are absolutely wonderful. He quotes Walt Whitman, he quotes a lot of different people, and it really tugs at the heartstrings as one man is passing on to the final stage of his life, and this kid, college kid, is discovering what it is to be a man and moving on to the next stage in his life and what he's going to do and how these decisions affect each other and how lives often intersect, and someone can be with you a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and they leave echoes, ripples in everything they touch. And this is one of those movies where it really reminds you of how the human condition works. And Joe Pesci just plays it off. There's funny scenes in this movie. There's a hell of a lot of funny scenes. And it has the right balance of funny and drama, and the actors do a real fine job in it. Yes. And that is my top 10, Joe Pesci. Now, stay tuned afterwards. I'll roll some footage, some movie posters, so you know what I'm talking about. It'll start at number 10, move its way down. I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions right now before we go to Raging Bull. It was one of the first movies that gave me a start. Scorsese, of course, De Niro playing a boxer. The reason it's not on the list is because he wasn't the foremost guy in it. You know, he was just kind of a background brother character. I don't know. For me, it was an alright movie, but it wasn't, you know, up there. And the other one I want to mention is because he just plays such a weird character is in this Michael Jackson movie called Moonwalker. As you saw in the videos in the beginning, the Joe Pesci with his hair all bunned up, he plays a tarantula-loving drug dealer. I'm not making this up. Who's chasing Michael Jackson and these 2 children because they saw his drug operation, and Michael Jackson has to turn into a transformer and then a spaceship in order to stop him and save the kids. I'm not making this up. It is actually worth a watch. It is trippy. Now, I got to go. Watch the video afterwards. And as always, I'm that good fella. The man you can count on. The man with a plan. Jack Slater, the comic outlaw. Subscribe, drop us a like, and hit us up. And as always, I will catch you on the flip side. Laters. And yes, this is our top 10 Joe Pesci movies. This will go through 1 through 10. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you check out these movies. They're very good. Like I said, Joe Pesci's had a wide range. He's a great actor. And these movies are just classic little gems. Some of my favorite ones. And also like and subscribe. Check out the Comic Outlaw. And let us know what you want to see. If you want to see more top 10s like this, if you want to see top 10s of something else, maybe a top 20, maybe more mixtape madness, maybe a request on the line for a comic book that I could do that would be so divine. But yes, this is the one, the only Comic Outlaw, giving love to that man, that outlaw, Joe Pesci. The man, the myth, the gangster, the mobster, the cousin who always comes when you call. Joe Pesci. Yes, sir. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this top 10. And as always, this is the Comic Outlaw. And we will catch you on the flip side. Hit us up. Like and subscribe. Comic Outlaw on YouTube.